What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Early Wedge. My name is Nejad, and I'm joined by a guy you see on the Early Wedge, but all over TV, PGA Tour, you name it. Rick is there. Rick, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Sia. It's good to see you, brother.
It's very good to see you, man. You've been doing a lot of cool things. Maybe give me something just over the last couple of weeks that was like that felt really insider that you can impart on us.
Oh my God. We did a hit. So I think the first thing that popped in my mind is I think a big storyline last week was the new greens that they put in at TPC Southwind, and it was absolutely true. They were firm. They've reacted very differently. All the guys were talking about that. That's a real thing. One of the cool things we did was on Sunday, Minwoo Lee was playing by himself. So he had already played 14, and we did a live hit on PGA Tour Live from the 14th green. And I'm like, play is literally happening right now. Like this would be like going out to the 10-yard line, in the middle of a football game. So I thought that was cool. And to kind of really describe the way those greens were reacting and some of the pin locations, it was like a very inside golf hit, and it was fun. Something you don't get to do all the time.
Awesome. Well, good stuff there. We've got good stuff with the BMW Championship, good stuff with the chat who have already put some questions in here. Rick, we always have a jump off point before we get to the questions. Let me ask you kind of an open-ended question. We got Rory back. We got Scotty. Let's just talk about just betting real quick. And your outrights, are you doing the without thing, or are you jumping in on one of those two guys? How are you handling it?
Neither. I did not do the without market, and I did not bet either one of those guys. I think there's, a case to be made that without really the strong course history, with the changes that have been done, with Ted Scott not being there, with Rory being his first tournament back, and excuse me, questioning what he has to play for before he gets to East Lake. I think there is a reasonable listen. These guys they're not 9 out of 10s. They're like 99 out of 100 guys, right? Like, I mean, they're absolutely perfect, but I think there is an argument to be made that they're like 95 out of 100, 93 out of 100, right? It's just not a week where I'm gonna bet them. If I get beat by the best, sure, no problem.
Fair enough. All right. Well, actually, I think it's a good time to lead into our first question because it pertains to DFS, but it also pertains to maybe playing the DFS board without Scotty or Roy. Xavier82 says, number one question I have in DFS is if you're going to not take Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy at the top of the board, who are you building with at the top? Rick, could you see yourself? I mean, because I know I asked you a betting question, but from a DFS standpoint, we can get to ownership in a second. Are all your lineups going to have one of those two in? And if not, who are you starting with?
Most of them will, obviously, despite what I'm saying, they're the most likely to be in the optimal lineups. Outside of those two, the next spot I would start would be Ludwig. And the next spot I would start after that would be Cam Young. I would probably skip the 10K range in its entirety. The bottom of the board are guys that have kind of they're clinging on, right? They're clinging on to still being in the playoffs. I realize that there's some decent options down there, but they're going to be more popular. You're going to get, a 10% Johnny Vegas at $6,100 or Ryan Fox is there. And those guys are fine. But if you want to be different, as you're rostering a large percentage of the field, 6 out of 49, if you want to be different, I don't mind just like Cam Young, Russell Henley, Victor Hovland, like just like piling up a lot of those guys and just going to battle.
I love that answer. I mean, I really have the same answer. I talked about it with Mike on the DFS show where, of course, Mike only plays 3 lineups per week, kind of like the higher end stuff, but 3 lineups per week. And I play, Rick, I'm pretty sure you play like a decent amount more than that. We're not like 150 max guys, right? You're not really doing that much, but I'm building somewhere between, 7 and 15 lineups per week, something like that. And there's certainly going to be some lineups where I'm not playing Scotty or Roy. I love the idea of starting at Ludwig, but I also, to your point, like the idea of starting with Cam Young. And we talked about on Monday, like what the pricing would be if you started with like Scotty and Cam Young, but also with Cam and 2 other 9K guys, Victor Hovland, and then pile in somebody like Henley. It still gives you the ability to build. We'll get into some more of those players that we might be building with in a second. J-Kev says, given that he didn't play in last week's taxing heat and humidity, does a fresher Rory McIlroy have an edge in this week's taxing heat and humidity. We're really building the narrative with the lingo there, Rick.
The taxing, I can assure you it was taxing. It was so
Yeah.
freaking hot in Memphis. I think the bigger thing is I think this is a really good golf course for him. You know, I think that he can just kind of lean into all of his strengths. I think it hides some of his weaknesses. And even if he is not as sharp coming off that break, you know, nearly a month break or 3-week break since the Open, even if he's not as sharp out of the gates, I don't think it's going to be a super big deal for him. So I don't really care about the taxing. These guys are they play in hot weather all the time. They play a lot of golf all the time. They have a routine. They're going to be ready to rock and roll. I think the biggest benefit for Rory McIlroy is the course fit, or at least the perceived course fit, if we admit that we don't know a lot.
I think when it comes to those narratives, you could literally go the opposite way. Well, he's out of his routine. He hasn't played in a little bit, where all these guys have been in their routine, and it's kind of par for the course, playing 1 week and then going into the next week. So I wouldn't get too involved in the taxing and the humidity stuff there. Let's see. Daredy? I don't know how to pronounce that. I see a lot of talk around Xander or Cantlay, hopefully, and that's an important word. Hopefully, finally finding it this week and getting to the top. Why are we not just going back to JJ Spawn for an outright pick this week? That's two separate questions, both valid. I'm not going to be on Xander or Cantlay. I'm not in the camp, and I haven't been for a long time, of like wishing that things are going to like all come together when we haven't really seen it. But again, that's me just not projecting. Rick, are you on either of these two guys this week?
I will answer the first part of that question by saying hope is not a strategy, right? That's number one. You know, I think I've missed out on most JJ Spawn things this year. And I don't know why. He's got this, great reliable shot shape. He's having the best putting year of his career. It's been the biggest difference kind of between the other seasons of his career, where he's always been a very good ball striker for the most part. I guess the thing that I would worry about a little bit is we saw last week at Southwind, there was a really big reward for playing out of the fairway. There was a really big penalty for missing the fairway. I'm not as sure about that this week. I think it is going to be much closer, and him having to hit longer irons in everywhere, I believe starts to wear and gives him a difficult time getting to the top of the board.
I agree with that. I mean, he is a good long iron player, but like I agree with the sentiment that it makes more sense that he won, or almost won, I should say, last week versus this week. How about Cantlay and Xander, though?
I think I feel exactly the same as I felt about them all year. It's like it's good, not great. In outright markets, there's other guys I would prefer. In DFS markets, there's other guys I would prefer. I think, like, what's the reason to play Cantlay? Because he's won this golf tournament at this course before. It was 4 years ago, and they've done work to it since. I just like don't buy into like I just hope they're gonna play well this week thing.
Yeah, I've kind of taken myself out of that. I mean, I think there are, like, Rick, you do it on on your shows and your other shows, and Rick Run Good as well, where you kind of like show how people are progressing and whether they might be kind of in line for a win. But when it comes to these guys, they're already at shorter odds. Like if we're projecting out somebody where it's all going to come together, I don't want to do that with Xander at short odds. You know what I mean? I just would rather do that with somebody down the board a little bit. Garrett Pacella says, for DK, can you please point out the highest owned guy in each range and a great lower owned pivot around them? Almost missed Rick Run Good live chat altogether, but glad I made it here. All right, Garrett. Well, thanks for being in here. Well, Rick, I'm looking at yours. So when you look at the 10K range, it's Tommy Fleetwood. That's the guy that's low owned, correct? Everybody else pretty high owned.
Yeah. So Scotty will lead the way. No surprise there. It's probably worth noting the projection right now, low 30s. I think he was like 40% owned last week, and he was more expensive. That speaks to the kind of builds you can make this week. So yeah, Tommy in the 10K range is pretty low owned. Morikawa is a single digit guy, barely in the 9K range. The 8K range, not too much support around Akshay or Corey Connors. Keegan Bradley, you can get it like 10%. And then when you start going down to the 7s and the 6s, it's probably easier to say the guys that that are going to be popular. Kurt Kitayama will be popular. Taylor Pendrith will be popular. And then all of this being relative, of course, the three guys at the bottom of the board who are double digits or likely to be double digits, Ryan Fox, Thomas Dietrich, Johnny Vegas is probably the way to look at this.
Yeah, and I'll say this towards the top of the board. I have two outrights this week, Rick, and they're both in the without Rory and Scotty market, and it's Cameron Young and Chris Gotterup. They are also going to be very popular in DFS. They're certainly Cameron Young is the most popular in his range, and Chris Gotterup the same, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, especially in Chris Gotterup's case, because you could make the argument that he's mispriced. Whereas at least with Cameron Young, you look at the 9,800 and you're like, actually, that's pretty expensive for Cam Young, but everybody's on that regardless. You like Cam Young this week, Rick?
Big time. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a reason why he's popular. Good golf course for him. He's playing great golf. He's made tangible changes to his swing or at least strategy recently that has immediately turned into dividends on the golf course. So yes, and still has a lot to play for. I mean, just like whatever angle you want to attack this from, Cam Young is very, very viable.
From a pivot standpoint in that 6K range, I do want to point out that just like last week, Jacob Bridgman was my favorite guy at 6,300. He's 6,400 now, and he's not getting the attention that Vegas and Fox and even Dietrich or Sam Stevens are getting. So I do think he's a reasonable pivot in that range. Is there a low-owned guy that you like, whether it's in the 7K or 6K range, that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, Rick?
So I think that your call there is very interesting. Outside of that, that people aren't going to be, no, I don't, because I will it's Fox and Vegas for me. They're both going to be popular. I think Bridgman is very, very live for T12, T15, which is all you need out of there. The only other one would be Nick Taylor. I'm just a believer in his game, but I don't want a lot of Lucas Glover. I don't want really Ryan Gerard or JT Poston or some of these other guys. So that's, it's a very, very small field, and there's only so many guys to go around.
Yeah. And that's part of the argument. I think if you wanted to get really wild and different, it goes back to our first question. Like, listen, it's not comfortable to fade Scotty and Rory, but a lot of people are going to be taking them. So you keep them out of your lineup. Maybe your roster construction is different, but you're not going in on those guys either. I don't like fading Scotty either. It's just something to consider. If you know at the top of the board, somebody's going to grab one of those two and you don't grab either, and you grab guys that are maybe a little bit lower owned, that might be one way to build some of your lineups. Let's see. Zach Kasenki says, what is up? See ya. Hovland with the dud last week. So I am looking for someone with form. Do you like Kurt Kitayama with the hot hand? Plus 105 for a top 20 from our friends at DraftKings seems very smart. My top 20 from the early wedge yesterday was Ricky Fowler at a similar number, plus 110. I can't argue with Kurt Kitayama. I don't love the finishing positions right now. I don't love the numbers on them personally. What are your thoughts here?
I'm in on Kurt.
Yeah.
It's like the last 36 rounds, he's like the second best approach player in the world outside of Scotty Scheffler. Love that. And also that came after, like, again, doing something different in his swing. Now you're seeing it pay off in the stat sheet, which I love. I would push back a touch on the dud from Hovland. Yes, round one was horrible.
Yeah.
His second, third, and fourth round numbers were, I think he had like the fifth best strokes gained over the final three rounds of anybody. That's worth something. So yeah, I mean, both these guys I think are very good options for this week.
Kurt Kitayama, I mean, it's interesting because sometimes I'll look like his last four finishes, T9, T31, first, T14. And sometimes you look at that and it's obviously very impressive. And then you look at the metrics on Rick Run Good, for example, and you're like, Kurt Kitayama, well, he must be doing it in some weird, unsustainable way. He must be so hot around the green with the putter or on approach, but like something is off otherwise. Like, man, it is bright green on RG, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's ever since basically the Texas Open, he just started playing a lot better golf. The ball striking numbers are nuts. The putter is always the thing that you worry about, but positive, not by a ton, but positive in his last three, positive in 4 out of his last 7. Yeah, it is a very impressive and in that case, much more sustainable way to run.
Sites 501 says, is Vegas going to be the biggest pairing in Scotty lineups? Probably. Right, Rick?
Yeah, I think so. I think that is absolutely true. And the only other, I mean, maybe a little bit of Ryan Fox, but I think the Vegas Scotty combination will be the most popular.
Vegas is ball striking. Like, listen, he's a pretty bad putter, but it's not like Ryan Gerard bad. It's like, yeah, sometimes he'll lose 3 or 4 strokes, but a lot of times he's losing like 1.25 strokes or 1.5 or something like that. Especially lately, it hasn't been horrific. His ball striking, I remember looking at it the other day. He's gained ball striking 5 out of the last 6, and we're not talking like minimal gains here. Like, he is smashing the ball perfectly.
The other thing is that his putter is not always horrendous. Like for a round or two, he will he'll gain strokes, a round or two every single week or something like that. So it is it is not like Siwoo Kim, I'm completely lost and there's no chance that I make a putt. It is conceivable that he does have a positive putting week.
Yeah, and for the record, Sites, I would venture to guess that if that's going to be popular, I mean, again, you can always get different elsewhere. This is tough because it's a 50-man field. If Vegas and Scotty are going to be popular, I have sort of 2 recommendations. And Rick, feel free to be like, yeah, I don't know that I would do it that way. But you could always do Scotty with like Bridgman, for example, or somebody that's lower owned. But the flip side to that is, if you know that a lot of lineups are going to be filled with Scotty and Johnny Vegas, play Vegas, but in a build that doesn't include Scotty, in a build that like actually doesn't play Rory or Scotty. I think that might be one of the ways to kind of get different. Like, people aren't going to be building as many Ludwig lineups with Johnny Vegas, for example, as many Cameron Young, who's going to be popular with Johnny Vegas. That might be a bad example because he is so popular. But Rick, that's one way to kind of get different. Get the guy that's going to be in the Scotty builds, but don't play Scotty.
Yes. And I also do think it is important to be different. And that doesn't always have to mean find a guy who's going to be like 5% owned in this field.
Right.
It could be different builds. It could be leaving a little bit of money on the table. It could be, I mean, listen, 6 out of 49, right? That's, do a little math here. You're playing 12% of the field in every single lineup. It's significant. And guess what? Next week, even more significant. You're going to play like 20% of the field in every single lineup. So start finding ways to build unique lineups as opposed to necessarily just like, I have to take a flyer on somebody who stinks type of deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Brad Morris says, personally, I'm high on Kurt Kitayama this week. Give me a break. Oh, I don't know what we're doing with the Kit Kat bar thing. Brad Morris. But yeah, you're high on Kurt Kitayama. That's great. So that's the jingle for.
Yes. That's Give Me a Break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kurt Kit bar.
Yeah. It's okay.
See, that's
Brad.
wrong. So it's a Kit Kat. So
right.
It should be a Kurt Kat bar.
Or yeah.
Come on,
he wanted
Brad.
to get either the kit or the cat in there, though.
Brad just, he was coming in. He just didn't land it. He just didn't land the plane.
Well, I certainly didn't land the plane either because I thought that was like a real question instead of a jingle. I could have done better with that, Brad. So I apologize. But I'll tell you what. Let me regroup while we hear a very quick message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We are back on the Early Wedge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. It's me and Rick Gehman, and Tom O says, which out-of-form golfer will shock us this week? It's an interesting question because this is the top 49 now. So like most of the guys are in pretty decent form, but still a very valid question. Who do you think will surprise you in a good way, Rick?
Brian Campbell.
Ooh, okay.
Why not? I mean, there's no reason to think he's going to play well. There has been no reason to think he's going to play well at all this year. He's got 2 wins. One of them is on a horrifically bad golf course for him in Mexico. This is a horrifically bad golf course. No one will play him. He is the minimum price. He's guaranteed 4 rounds. If he finishes 36th, did we get a value on Brian Campbell? I don't know. But like, you're right, Sia. There's I don't know.
I I can think of, so let me give you 4 golfers that are going to be low owned for good reason. And I have an answer to this question, but I want to ask you first. As I'm scrolling down the ownership, I'll give you 4 names that are, again, in the like 10% or lower range. Corey Connors, Shane Lowry, let me give you Siwoo Kim and Jason Day. Do you think any one of those 4 could have a good tournament this week?
Day gets me the most excited. Lowry does not get me that excited. Siwoo is the upper left-hand quadrant of, oh my God, his putter, he has to make something eventually, but I think he might just be broken and it's completely lost. He just cannot sniff the cup. So, yeah, I think out of that group, Jason Day is probably the guy.
I led with Keegan there, right? That was one of the names I gave.
I don't know if you led with Keegan or not.
So, because I think Keegan, I might have led with Connors. I meant to add Keegan in there.
Yeah.
Would that change your answer?
I'm worried a little bit about Keegan.
I get it.
And now this is like multiple layers of this. I think now he's kind of playing for a Ryder Cup spot again.
Well,
and
yeah. I think he has been for the last few weeks. I think that's been at the forefront of his mind, and he's just kind of choking a little bit.
But like he had it locked up at the Travelers, and now guys have won that have pushed him to. I think he's 10th in the standings right now. He might be 11th after this week, and now he's got to make a real decision. Unless, yeah. So I am a little bit worried about Keegan. I think Jason Day is still the guy there.
I'm skipping around a little bit. I'm going to go with Keegan for that answer, but Tafkant from CBS, from the early edge, you catch him on HQ and all those things inside the lines. He says his surprise golfer is Harris English. I love hearing that. I actually considered him for a first round leader, but I have a round 1 matchup, Harris English over Andrew Novak. It's all across the board between -130 and -140, but I think Harris English could be one of those guys, Rick.
Very good on longer courses, very good. He's very good on a lot of courses. He has a I feel like I say this all the time on Harris English, but he has like a well-rounded game that travels. And when we don't really know what we're going to get this week, I think that's valid. And he's one of the rare guys, like outside of the big name players, that has legit podium upside.
Totally agree. And he's a lot longer than people think. I feel like people think of Harris English like they think of like Charles Howell III. I don't know why. That's the name that popped in my. Or he's like kind of a shorter, plodding hitter. Like Harris English's game has grown. That's why he's contending.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Again, I don't know if that CW3 comp was appropriate, but Eric David says, most important question: how much do you miss the strokes gain narrative segments? Car themed for the BMW. He has one for us. Cadillac Fleetwood, Russell Bentley, Lucas Glovebox, Scotty Muffler, and Justin Rolls McElroyce. It's an expensive lineup, but it's a fun one.
Justin Rolls McElroyce. That doesn't make any sense. Is that
McElroyce? That's how I should say.
McElroyce.
McElroyce, yeah.
Yeah, McElroyce. Okay.
But it's Justin. Oh, yeah. That doesn't make...
Eric, you're off your game.
Eric.
We are a little rusty here. So yes, we need to get this back in on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
I like Lucas Glovebox is my favorite of those. That's very good.
That is pretty good.
Is very good. I love it.
Russell Bentley is pretty solid as well.
Russell Bentley is good too.
Let's see. Jeff Stenberg says Morikawa played decent last. I'm always afraid to read Jeff's questions before I actually read them fully because sometimes they're just jokes. Morikawa played decent last week. I think I want to fire off a Colin ticket this week. So I don't hate the sentiment here, especially from a DFS standpoint, Rick, because I understand what we're looking for, but it's not like we know everything about this course. It could play a little differently than the bomber putter narrative that is out there that I'm certainly playing as well. With all that said, Morikawa for an outright seems pretty close to no thank you, like definitely not.
Just Jeff, however much you're going to put on that, just send it to me and I'll make better use of that. The putter's a massive problem. If we were to line up Southwind and Caves Valley on the golf course spectrum, they'd be at very different ends of this.
Yeah.
That was a course that rewarded significantly accuracy off the tee and approach play. I'm not as positive about that this week. So Jeff, just Venmo me that money and I'll go down to the lemonade stand down here and give it to
I'll tell you what, Jeff, go ahead and just Venmo me the money and I'll place the bet for you. If it loses, so be it. But I'll go ahead and place that bet for you. So look out for me there. Sites 501. Are you predicting hard, soft, or medium putting surfaces? If hard, how much are you factoring that into your plays? Well, I'm certainly factoring putting into my plays. Rick, any take on faster, slower greens here?
They're new greens. So new greens are bouncy. So that's what I would say hard. How they cut them kind of determines speed. So to answer his question, I think they're going to be hard. I think they're going to be bouncy. That's approach play, but they're also going to be brand new. So they're going to be pure as all hell. So the good putters will love that. I thought I saw the stimp number. Oh boy, they're going to run like a 12, which is pretty standard. I saw. So I would say they're going to be hard and medium speed.
Okay. I thought 12 was kind of more on the fastish range.
I don't know. I feel like that's more standard these days. Okay. I feel like every place runs them out of 12. Once Augusta will run them at like 14 or whatever, but I feel like every place is running them at 12 now.
So Joey B says rain expected in Owings Mills, Maryland on Thursday night. It's actually raining right now here in DC.
I was going to say they're getting it right now. They're in like a flood watch right now.
Yeah. So it's going to rain. Like I think tomorrow's conditions are actually going to be like pretty decent in terms of a softer type course, but Joey B is relaying that it'll be just sunny and no rain for rounds 2 through 4. So the greens will firm up. Rick, you're not going to this tournament, right?
No, I'm going to Atlanta. I'll be at the Tour Championship, but I'm taking this week off.
Gotcha. I think I'm going to be at Caves Valley on Friday in case anybody's.
How far is that from you?
Like an hour and 10 minutes.
It's not anything far. Within that's close enough. That'll be cool. I've never been there. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'll be there when you guys are, because the early wedge will be on CBS Sports Network at 1:00 on Friday. I think it's you, Joe, and Patrick McDonald, Joe Musso and Patrick McDonald. I'll actually be at the course when you guys are there. So maybe I'll text you guys some insider info that you can relay to
Give us a nugget. Yeah.
To the crowd. Let's see. Justin Bowman says, see, if you were to make a top 20, including ties parlay, who do you like?
Oh boy.
So, because I do these silly things.
Let me cook one up.
Yeah, cook one up. And I'm just going to think, like, I'm looking at some of my notes, some of the guys that I like. I mean, Gotterup and Cameron Young would be on there. I wouldn't be shocked if Fitzpatrick rebounds and has a decent tournament, although I don't know that I'd put him in that finishing position parlay. Some guys down the board, Kitayama would be interesting to me. Harris English would be interesting to me. I wouldn't want to go too far into the, adding a lot of people. Go ahead, Rick.
How about this? Here's 4 guys: Griffin, Gotterup, Cam Young, Kurt Kitayama. Those 4 top 20, including ties, 776.
So Kitayama, Cam Young, Chris Gotterup, and who was the other one?
Benjamin Griffin.
Ooh, yeah.
You want me to get
7-1 solid.
You want me to get? You didn't seem to like that as much.
No. I like Ben Griffin. I think for a top 20, I think that's solid. Here's what I would do, Justin. I would take 3 of those for a top 20 and 1 as a top 10, maybe Cam Young, maybe Chris Gotterup. I say that because I have them as outrights. And that's going to change that 7-1, Rick. If you change one of those to a 10-1, top 10, 12, is it 12-1?
So here, we'll do Cam Young top 10, and then we'll do Griffin top 20, Gotterup top 20, and the other one was Kitayama, right?
Yeah.
So it goes from 761 to 1590.
I like it.
See ya, you animal.
I like it. And the beauty of that is, even if you wanted to drop off, because you added that top 10, if you wanted to drop off one of the top 20s and just make it a 3-leg thing with 2 top 20s and 1 top 10, that's still going to give you 7-8-1.
So let's drop out Ben Griffin, who Sia hated. I could tell.
I did not.
So this is Cam Young top 10, Gotterup and Kitayama top 20, including ties, 9-1.
I mean, there you are. I mean, it's almost too easy. Stealing.
That's free money, as they say.
Yeah. And again, if you're going to do these, especially when you're getting 10 or 12-1, do a few of them with low stakes, of course, because you're getting the return, and just rotate a couple of guys through. Like if you don't like Kurt Kitayama as much, put Ben Griffin and then rotate him out and put in, I don't know, Tommy Fleetwood or Matt Fitzpatrick or somebody like that. Tommy Fleetwood was so disappointing to me, Rick. I had him in the without market last week, and it was looking pretty good. I also had hedged it because of our morning show. I hedged it with JJ Spawn at 12-1. The only guy that could have negatively affected me, because Scotty was already taken out of it with my without ticket, was Justin Rose.
I have never seen stress and tension on a
you were there
golfer's
live.
face and body. Yes. Like I saw on Tommy Fleetwood.
We saw it on TV too.
His shoulders get in his ears. His shoulders get so high. You can just see he is waiting for something bad to happen to him. It is. I've never seen anything like that.
I said it on yesterday's Best Bet show, which everybody's in your feed. I don't like using the choke word because it's mostly like clickbait and people don't really they just throw it around, right? But to me, especially with his history, and we've seen it before from him, but like that 3-hole stretch on 16, 17, and 18, you're not going to show me a better example over like 3 holes with somebody in the lead. I'm sure there are better examples from like golf lore, but in just recent modern times, you're not going to show me a better example of choking than what we saw from Tommy Fleetwood, particularly on 16 and 17.
I mean, he makes a birdie on 16. It's over. It's the easiest hole in the golf course in the middle of the fairway. He makes 16. He makes like, I was standing there and like, if he makes a birdie here, this is over. That's the second time he took relief from the grandstand. I think on the weekend, he knew exactly I cannot believe that shot he hit. I cannot believe that chip he hit. And as soon as it went over the green, he was flush with like, I'm bleep. Like I'm done here. Like I'm just absolutely done. And it was just a car wreck.
The putt on 17.
Oh, it's the worst putt I've ever seen.
I mean, can you was there something, because you would know this way better than me, when the lead up to that, I'm watching it too, but that was such a bad putt. Was there something you noticed where you were like, oh, he is definitely not making this?
Dude, no, but I was right behind the line and I was right behind him. It was never remotely going in. Like he pushed it. So it was a putt that I would hit. It was the worst putt I've ever seen.
It was a putt that I would hit, and I barely golf.
It was the worst putt I've ever seen a professional hit. It was horrendous.
He started walking after it the moment he hit it.
He should have walked. I started walking after it the moment he hit it. It was horrendous. I've never seen it.
All right, we'll get back on track here. It's just, that honestly, I've had a really good outright season. I will say over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been on the doorstep and I've been that second place guy. And I think because of that, Sunday affected me more than most misses affect me. Cause I was I had insured it with JJ Spawn. Scotty's out of the picture. Tommy Fleetwood is in a good position. And it's really, man? I don't know. I'm still floored by that. Joey B says Maverick McNeely plus 3,300. I mean, 33 is my lucky number. I already like it. Sprinkling $10 on that when he's due. I like Mav McNeely this week. I'm not betting him, but what are your thoughts on Mav?
Like Maverick McNeely, but I will stop short of saying he can win the BMW Championship. Let's just get our exposure to Maverick McNeely in matchups and top tens and hell, win or without. I just really. I think I fall short of thinking he's going to win this thing.
I will say that when people are up on Mav McNeely, he almost always disappoints in terms of just not having that upside that people are generally looking for. He's not super popular this week. So there is something to be said. And that's partly because I guess Kurt Kitayama is right above him. And you've got some other guys like Ricky Fowler, who's a few hundred more that's going to be popular and whatnot. But yeah, I'm going to play him maybe in DFS, but that's about it. Zach Kasenki, seeing Rick G. Henley to be top 10 first round plus 250. Do you love it?
I like it. I tend to usually think Henley is more of a he's just going to pile up a bunch of opportunities and he's going to, because he has 40 decent birdie looks over the course of the event, he's going to make 18 or 20 of them, as opposed to I'm going to go out and shoot a 62 or a 63 or something like that. Right. I don't know if the numbers back that up. I guess I could look, but I tend to think that Henley is more of although I guess it's top 10 in a 49 per. Okay. Okay, Zach. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. He doesn't have to shoot a 62.
I mean, I don't have an opinion on it one way or the other. I will tell you, I have 3 first-round leaders, which is admittedly kind of a lot in a 49-person field, but it's Goddard, it's Cam Young, and I went with Ricky Fowler, who I don't know that I love Ricky Fowler's form. I don't know that he can win, but I think he could certainly be a first-round leader at 40-1. Alec Geibel says, thoughts on Colin? Too early to think he's on the upswing after last week. For his talent, he's mispriced, he thinks. We talked about him. We're kind of out on Colin, right?
I don't think last week is representative of what he's going to do this week.
Right. 2 completely different courses. Big Boy says, good afternoon, gentlemen. $200 single entry. Okay, so you always have that $200 single entry question for us. With Scotty and Ricky, okay, I have 6,300 left for my last spot. Who would you all take?
What's up, Big Boy? I mean, I would, if I was in a vacuum, Vegas. If I get another option, Fox.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on how you've built your lineup and how like chalky it is, but I probably would agree with Vegas. Bud Cauley's not getting a lot of attention, and I understand this is a different course, but typically Bud Cauley's enough of a ball striker where we're like, all right, well, it's not going to find a ton of trouble necessarily. Any thoughts on Bud Cauley?
I just think this is a speaking of big boy, I think this is a big boy spot. No Bud for me. Sorry, Bud.
I could see myself taking a shot on a Bud Cauley. I wish he had 100 more. I would have said Jacob Bridgman, but
I know I looked at that too.
All right, Eric David saying Justin Rolls, and Roy McIlroy. So Justin
Rose being Justin Rolls.
Yeah,
gotcha.
My bad. Okay, so that is kind of my bad. I messed up the Kit Kat thing, and I messed up the
you're struggling today. See, this is tough scene for you.
Jack George says, "How do you guys feel about Denny? He is the only guy in the field from Maryland," which I assume is a true statement. I did know he's from this area. I don't know. Denny doesn't get me excited. I know Denny feels like the lesser version of what we're talking about with Cantlay and Xander. We're kind of wishing something to be true, and it's not quite true yet. I feel like we've been doing that with Denny for like 2 years.
Well, he's hemorrhaging off the tee. He's still a very good putter. The Maryland thing is a non-factor. Yeah. In fact, if you really want to know, he's played here. He's played in Maryland twice. He missed the cut in 2018 at the God, what event would that have been? I forget. And then he finished like T40 at the Wells Fargo or whatever when they both were at TPC Potomac, I think. So just like that's a non-factor. The driver is a big problem. Out down there.
Yeah, I'm out too. Fuzzy Dunlop says, "See, I'll be there Friday too." Oh, that's great. I'm not going to be at the media center. I'm just going to be walking around. You say among the common people. Yeah, I'm going to be one of those guys. So I'll be around. So hit me up on Twitter, Rick. I don't know how you do that when you're at the course, but contact me on Twitter or what have you. And
sometimes I say I'm going to be at this spot for the next hour.
That's a good call.
I'm going to sit here behind. I'll go find a spot behind the second green. We're in the shade where it's like cool. And I can sit here. I'll be here for the next hour.
So I assume most of the people watching are on Twitter. I'm going to tweet something out when I'm there. It's probably going to be between like noon and 5 o'clock that I'll be there. Something in that time frame. And I'll tweet out where I'm at. And hopefully some of you can come meet me. Let's see. Trying to see more questions here. Garrett Pochello, sounds like a lot of approach shots over 200 yards this week. Who are the best guys on approach over 200 yards in the last 16 rounds? Rick, do you have that?
Looked this up. Yeah. I looked this up earlier, but it's like Scotty, Colin, Kitayama, Hoagie's on there. Did I say Henley yet? I think Henley's on that list. Ludwig's on that list. And I think like JT's on that list. Like that's a pretty comprehensive top 10. I know I only named like 6 or 7 of them, but that's a pretty comprehensive list.
Yeah, a couple of guys too. I mean, I think JJ Spawn long irons are pretty good. Jacob Bridgman typically, and I haven't looked at his form over the last handful of tournaments. He's typically a good long iron player as well. But that's just off the top of my head beyond Rick's list there. Let's see. I think that might be. Oh, okay. Dare Die says, follow up on my earlier Spawn question. Is he really a shorter hitter? I was looking at last 50 rounds and him being top 20 in this field in driving distance. We can check that out for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me look at.
He is a little bit longer than I thought. I'm looking at a smaller sample size than 50 rounds, but Yeah, he's hitting it pretty hard.
I'm just gonna look at his ball speed. All right, he is 173 ball speed. He's middle of the he's middle of the pack. It's he's not short. He's middle of the pack.
Not bad, but not super long either. All right. Well, before we cut out, can we get Josh? Do you want to come in here? I kind of want to get your take on.
I think Josh got a haircut.
Did he get a haircut? Oh,
that kind of looks different to me. Maybe he styled it a little bit different. I thought it looked like a haircut to me.
Well, I mean, I've gotten a haircut in the last 3 weeks. I think that was the last time I saw you.
Really?
So,
that haircut looks fresher than that. Wait, can I tell the story, Josh, about when I was in Memphis?
Yeah.
All right. How about this, Sia?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Memphis at the St. Jude, obviously, and we go back to the hotel. And I get into an elevator and I'm with a couple other people. And we're having a conversation, yada, yada, yada. And this guy's looking at me. I'm like, okay, this guy's like really looking me up and down here. And he goes, "Are you Rick Gehman?" And I say, "Wow, yes, indeed I am." And he says to me, the last thing that I ever thought I was going to hear. He says, "I'm Josh Molinex's dad."
No.
And I'm like, my world has just flipped off its axis. And I'm like, first off, tiny world.
Teeny.
Love, like, what, how is this possible? Like, how in this universe, I'm in this box, this steel box with producer Josh's dad right now and your brother, right?
Yeah.
And we quickly, I mean, I wish we had more time, obviously, but we just quickly caught up very, very quickly. I guess they were going to dinner in the hotel. There's a restaurant at the roof, but it was a very, very cool little interaction. So I immediately called Josh and said, "I just met your dad and your brother."
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, so,
crazy world.
Yeah,
that is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So there you go. That was one of my fun encounters. Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to step on your thoughts here, but I thought that was funny.
I have very few thoughts. They even meant they last second changed to go to that dinner spot instead of somewhere else because they decided they didn't want to drive as far to the other spot. So it was like a last minute thing.
We had dinner there one night. It's a good spot. So like, yeah, good call.
Yeah, I haven't eaten there, but I've heard good things.
It is good.
Yeah, crazy world.
Josh, your thoughts on the BMW Championship? Who's winning? Maybe some surprises, some things you took umbrage to that Rick and I talked about.
I kind of think Ludwig's going to win this golf tournament.
Yeah, I like it.
It's not bad.
People who listen to the early wedge consistently have heard me say this multiple times already, but Ludwig is the younger version of Patrick Cantlay in the way that we talk about Ludwig around the 4 majors. But how he's actually playing kind of goes under the radar otherwise. Like Cantlay's been totally fine this year. Not as good as he has been in the past, but he's just been really bad at the majors. And that's the thing that has defined his season and is mostly what has defined Ludwig's as well, despite the fact that he won earlier in the year. He's almost, Rick, what are you calling it nowadays? Total gains when you gain across the bag?
Complete gains.
Complete gains. I like it.
Complete gains?
Instead of like a complete game. Yeah, like a complete
game.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, when you gain across all 4 strokes gain metrics. Ludwig's 11 for 12, I think, over the last 3 events, and he lost like less than 0.2 of the stroke putting 2 weeks ago, I think, at the Open, if I'm remembering correctly. So he's just kind of hitting the cover off the golf ball. It's like 7 straight gaining an approach and off the tee. Big ballpark, and I just think he's playing better than people think he is because he hasn't really factored into the majors since the Masters.
I like it. Ludwig. So there were a couple people I just wanted to have a short card, kind of because I'm taking that without market cop out with Cam Young and Chris Gotterup. And again, it's a small field. I probably could have added somebody, but I wanted to add Ludwig. He was just also too short. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't take Gotterup or Cam Young, it was probably, I thought about Hovland, but it was probably going to be Ludwig for me. So I could totally see that. Rick, did you already tell me who your outright pick is?
It was, my betting card is Cam Young, Hideki.
I like that one.
I do not.
Victor. Why are we taking
and
Kurt Kitayama? I think I bet 55-1.
Why are we taking Hideki Matsuyama?
He's been a phenomenal approach player, and the putter is heated up, and he doesn't foreshadow victories. And I just think he's brewing. I think he's lurking.
What's his number?
40.
That's not bad.
You can probably get a better number than I got. I got probably one of the worst numbers you could get.
He hasn't finished outside of the top 19 since the Travelers.
Is that a pro or a con?
That's a pro.
I think it's a pro.
Can I, before we get out of here, for those of you that don't follow me on Twitter, you're not in the SportsLine Discord, which I'm about to put this in. Danish Golf Championship. I have a few outrights to give out. Christopher Wrighton plus 1,600, Sami Balamaki plus 3,500, Andy Sullivan plus 3,500, Oliver Lindell plus 4,500. He's my favorite, and some bombs on Dan Torp and Bryant at 125 to 1. That's my big card. I miss cuts. Just throwing that out there.
Don't we all?
I know what you did there. All right. I think that'll do it, right? Are we?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't have a ton. I'm looking forward to Caves Valley though. I'm not totally sure why. I don't have a real reason other than just I think it's a fun stop on tour.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I'll tell you all about it when I'm there on Friday. Rick, thank you very much. Josh, thank you very much. You'll see the early wedge next on CBS Sports Network Josh, is that at 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
On Friday.
Yeah.
And that's really cool because it's going to be in the middle of the round. There's going to be a lot of takes in terms of what's going on the course, but also some takes on what we should be maybe looking at in the betting market over the weekend. And of course, the Sunday morning show, 10:30 on the SportsLine YouTube channel. Make sure you're locked in here. Make sure you're subscribed here. We will see you next time on the early wedge.